Hey there, and welcome to Fan Theory Queries, where we analyze fan theories from all over the internet, but mostly Reddit. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer.
And I have the privilege of bringing the theory to the table today from user The Moralist Doctor. They posit that in Harry Potter, a person who suffered from a Dementor's kiss eventually becomes a Dementor themselves. J.K. Rowling has stated that they are meant as a metaphor or personification for depression. However, no explanation for how a Dementor is made or where they come from, with the only details being that they can't breed and grow like a fungi in dark places. They are also said to have been first found inside Azkaban after Acristus, the creator of the fortress, passed away and the concealment charms placed on the island faded. A Dementor's most powerful ability, the Dementor's kiss, is performed when a Dementor pulls back its hood, latches onto the victim's mouth, and sucks out their soul, leaving them in a vegetative state, an empty shell. They are described as having gray, scabbing, and rotten skin underneath their cloaks, and no one has seen what lies beneath their hoods and lived. My theory is that after a Dementor performs the kiss on a human being, that person becomes a shell, basically just a container, which can eventually be filled with dark magic, turning a person into a Dementor. Dementors are described as having magical effects on their surroundings just by being present, such as making the air colder and leaving people depressed and in despair. So that effect could extend to filling soulless living beings with their own darkness, much like fungi often develop on carcasses to feed on the nutrients. Since Acristus used Azkaban to capture and torture Muggle sailors that washed on the shores of the island, it is possible that his dark magic produced the first Dementor inside a broken, despaired sailor by accident or even on purpose, and that first Dementor fed on the next victims of the fortress, making the population grow. Since the Ministry of Magic made the fortress into a prison, hiring the Dementors to be guards and barely caring whether they fed on someone or not, they slowly grew their population over the centuries. And since they are tasked with burying the dead, J.K. mentions that Barty Crouch Jr.'s mother was buried on Azkaban after she passed away. They could easily feed on a prisoner and then report that they passed away and were buried, and the Ministry would never know once a Dementor's hood is always on. Lastly, Remus Lupin describes the creature as being among the foulest creatures that walk this earth. The Dementor will feed on you long enough to reduce you to something like itself, soulless and evil. You will be left with nothing but the worst experiences of your life. Showing that a Dementor does leave a person as something similar to themselves, and the Dementor's kiss is often referred to as a fate worse than death. What could be worse than being forced to wander the earth forever, deprived of rest, food, or sleep, seeking happy memories to fill the void left inside someone by the absence of their own soul?
You know what the worst thing about prison is? It's the Dementors.
Dementors.
I was wondering how long it would take. Oh, man. So what do you guys think?
Okay.
This kind of reminds me of the Doctor Who Weeping Angels thing of weeping angels being former Time Lords.
Yep, it's kind of in the same vein.
You know, I've always thought that the Dementor's kiss was probably the creepiest thing ever described in a book I've read.
Yeah,
it's pretty creepy.
To take something as pleasant as, or a kiss, and make it as yucky,
nasty,
as soul-sucking. I mean, I guess some people may have had
view it
kisses
that way
before.
I was going to say, it depends on who you've kissed.
Oh, gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. I was going to say that I'm glad they brought in the part about what Professor Lupin, how he described them, because that was essentially like Harry's first encounter. Lupin came in right immediately after that to kind of educate him and the audience about these creatures. And I think that really stuck with me, what he said, because, again, it's been a very long time since I first read those books, because I was one of those people that stayed up till midnight at the bookstore for the book release.
Mm-hmm.
And I I feel like that's always stuck with me what Lupin said about how he describes after experiencing a Dementor's kiss, you basically become on the same level as a Dementor. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
my brain always jumped to that conclusion of, oh, you will become a Dementor if you've had that kiss.
Ah,
So this isn't new to you,
No,
this
that's
idea.
I that was always my assumption
Oh, okay. I guess I never
because
wondered where that came from.
you don't ever hear anybody talking about somebody who's had one of those kisses and their life afterward because
I
then I
thought
thought, okay, well then like who?
I thought they were dead.
yeah.
They
I
died.
thought that they
Hmm.
basically were like in a vegetative state somewhere.
Well, I mean, like we've been to St. Mungo's before, and I don't remember ever hearing anything about like a wing of people who had suffered that or and
Yeah, that's
how they
true.
were being treated. You don't. There's never been any way of addressing what they do to those with those people after they've gone through that experience. So that's what
That's a
made
good
me
point.
assume, oh, well then they must have become a Dementor.
You have to go somewhere. I guess use them
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
fertilizer. Um,
Yeah,
But
like
here's the
Plants vs
question, though.
Zombies.
yeah.
Here's the question, though. If your soul is sucked out, are you even really alive?
That's the point, I
Because
think.
isn't your soul what gives you life?
Well, and isn't that the principle behind a zombie too, though? Is
Hmm.
that at least in the quote unquote real world, what with like voodoo and stuff like that, that's how you got turned into a zombie was that a witch doctor or a voodoo priestess or whoever had stolen your soul out of your body. So then
I don't know.
you just
Oh,
became this
I didn't.
mindless thing wandering around.
I do
I
not
didn't know
know.
that.
So yeah, you
Uh,
wouldn't really have much going for you after your soul's gone.
yeah, I know. I don't. Do we know of anybody of an important character that got the Dementor's kiss that we never saw again, or is it just kind of a "this is what happened, so don't let it happen to you," and we're gonna build tension because Harry's about to get kissed, but he
Yeah, I
stopped.
don't think we ever had anybody mentioned that had been kissed by a Dementor.
Because then we would have had to have
It
had an
it
explanation
almost
of what
seemed
happened.
like
Yeah.
if if that was your fate at Azkaban, like it was almost like that was your death sentence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
if you were getting the Dementor's kiss at Azkaban, that's it. Your lights out, you're done.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it too.
Well, how do some other people see it?
Yeah, let's go to the comments here. So, Doctor Doom 55 says, I would also like to add that the Ministry supposedly has control over all Dementors, which would make a lot more sense if Dementors were created from each other as opposed to coming from dark places. How could the Ministry control creatures that just randomly show up in loads of places across the country? They don't. They only need to control the offspring of the Dementors that they currently have. That's interesting.
I've,
Um,
I always thought that was just
professors,
like a fluff piece from the Ministry of, oh yeah, we have total control over them. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
yeah, it was a very political thing. I
Yeah.
feel. I don't think they ever had control over them. I think
No.
honestly, the only person that was even close to controlling them was Voldemort. Whenever he
Exactly.
sicked them on the school, whenever he attacked, but even then, I don't know if he had full control over them. I think they just aligned with him because that meant they got to create more Dementors, if this is true. Anyway, Professor Snape fan says they do breed. In the first chapter of the sixth book, Fudge explains to the Muggle minister that they cause all the fog while breeding.
Huh.
I don't remember that, but
Okay.
okay. Um,
But
MW Campbell 92 says, I don't think they breed in the sense of getting pregnant or through mitosis or something. What I've always extrapolated from what's implied is that it's sort of like an Obscurus. They don't so much breed as much as they're formed. The Obscurus, when magic is being suppressed, Dementors, there's a Dementors when there's a significant amount of negativity and depression. It's possible that's what Acristus had been kidnapping Muggle sailors for. Imprisoning and torturing them was bad enough that Dementors formed as a result of their despair. So with the whole wizarding world fearful of the Second War, and the Dementors defecting to Voldemort's side and terrorizing people outside of Azkaban, all that added despair could be resulting in more Dementors being created. I think it's a good point.
But they
Okay,
also have a
that's a
good
good-
point
yeah.
of okay, they don't breed in the sense of getting pregnant, but they could also breed in the sense of, hey, when I kiss you, I'm breeding and turning you into a Dementor. You know?
Like infecting
kind
a
of like
person,
Yeah.
assimilating
like a
them.
zombie's bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Valerian Keyblade says, given how Rowling copied a great amount from Tolkien, it is completely likely since this would make the Dementors even more like the Nazgul. So,
What's
Ooh.
more likely? Which point are they trying to support? I don't
The main
understand
theory.
that.
The main theory.
yeah, I think this is back to the main theory and skipping over the other comments. I think they were just
Okay.
commenting on what was originally said.
Because the Nazgul were originally normal.
Men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this last comment is from a deleted user. They say, I always thought they were like part of an eldritch god, like remnants of HP's version of personified death or something. They take the souls to the afterlife.
Oh, JK wishes she could write something like HP. Okay.
No, wait. They're saying HP like Harry Potter, not Lovecraft.
Oh,
No, they're definitely talking about Lovecraft.
yeah.
What?
That's how I read it.
No, they're saying
Harry Potter's
are
version
remnants
of
of-
personified death or
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft's version of personified
No.
death.
Harry Potter's version of personified death. That's what they're saying. They're saying that Dementors are like Harry Potter's version of personified death or something.
Oh, well,
Okay.
maybe that's why they were deleted, because they weren't very clear with their comment.
Because I think the ghosts are the personified death, but that's just,
Yeah. Oh, man.
maybe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. This is back to the original theory. Like, it's an interesting theory to me.
Yeah.
I like how they kind of compared it to. I mean, I don't like it because it's gross, but it's interesting how they compared it to like fungi growing in dark places. Because it's essentially like they're kind of attaching themselves to the humans that they're sucking the life out of, and then they leave behind a bit of themselves, and it forms into another Dementor, you know?
Okay, so they suck the soul out, they become a shell, and then the shell is absorbed with dark magic that comes from being in the presence of a Dementor. Basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well,
Simple enough for ya?
I think, yeah. I think that I'm ready to start breaking down the ratings of this. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yep, I'm there.
Cool. Well, then let's go ahead and go to an ad break, and we'll be right back. All right. Let me give you a quick reminder of our rating scale, and then we can dive into our ratings.
Okay.
The highest rating that we have is Genius. This is reserved for only the best theories, which we believe are better than the actual canon. The next step down is Plausible. It's a good theory, it's believable. Unlikely is next. It's not a terrible theory, but pretty unlikely, as the name suggests. And then the last thing is Preposterous. These are the theories that are just stupid. Basically, we're all dumber for having listened to them. Alright, so who wants to go first?
Spencer, why don't you go?
I'm going to say this is plausible. I think it makes sense. I don't, not being as in tune with the lore and all of the things and stuff of Harry Potter world. Um, I can't be confident in saying that it's genius, but I think based on the evidence supplied and the explanation and everything, I'm going to think I think it's plausible. It could be. It's believable. I like it.
Cool.
Cool. I also will give this plausible. Uh, OP pulled good facts from the source material to help support this. And like I said, that had been my assumption based on Lupin's his little class he gave kind of to Harry there
Yeah.
on the train about it. That was how I thought it worked anyway. So that's why it works for me. But I do see from like the way that some like commenters put it, that is enough to make me go, oh well, I guess this could also be the case too. So that's why I'm not going to go full on canon because I kind of like now some of the ideas that were shared there in the comments, but it is still kind of my number one. But I will say there is room there for more debate, and yeah, that's why I'm going to go with plausible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna get a triple plausible today
Pew pew pew
because
There we
pew.
that's
go.
what I am gonna rate it. Yeah, I honestly like Spencer. I had never thought of it being like this before. I just assumed that whenever somebody had a Dementor's kiss, they just died or were just off somewhere, basically living death. And so this was an interesting perspective for me, and I was a little on board with it throughout the theory, but kind of like you, Lara, what sold it for me was the Lupin quote. Thinking back on that and reading through it again, that's kind of what solidified that this actually could be a plausible thing in canon. Like it's very possible this is exactly how it works. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with plausible on this one.
Great. Well, since we've all rated this theory, we do need to bring this episode to a close. But before we do, guys, I have some exciting news.
You do?
You know, I do. I like to share these fascinating movie details that I come across on Reddit from time to time. And this time, it just so happened to be that it lines up with the theory we're talking about. This fascinating movie detail comes from the world of Harry Potter. And this is something that will blow your mind. This is from Reddit user River Odessa, and on Reddit they posted, in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which was that play thing, Ron Weasley grows up to be a joke shop owner, while Harry and Hermione both have high-ranking government/police roles. This is a reference to Ron being useless and the writers being done pretending otherwise.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold,
You know,
man.
Is it wrong?
Harry wouldn't be around if Ron hadn't been there to save him multiple times.
Or Dumbledore?
And Harry also
Lots of
wouldn't
people
have been
saved
able
Harry
to destroy one of the Horcruxes if it hadn't been for Ron saving him from the icy depths of the water and finding the sword of Gryffindor for him.
Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin.
Okay, well, that's great. Anyway, this has been Fan Theory Queries. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer. In our next episode, we ask, what was the mysterious throat spray in Glass Onion? Subscribe to Fan Theory Queries so you don't miss out on that and other fascinating fan theories.